Hi, this is Eric Leuschner from Real Property Management in Blacksburg, Virginia, where you can own the home and not the hassle. This is the next video in our series on landlord investor education. I hope you enjoy this as much as you have enjoyed the other videos. A couple of caveats to begin with. I'm not an attorney, so nothing I say should be construed as legal advice. I am not a financial advisor. Nothing I say should be construed as financial advice either. I am a licensed real estate agent in the Commonwealth of Virginia and a realtor. So today we're going to talk about the 5 formulas that every property investor needs to know. And those 5 formulas are gross income, net operating income, capitalization rate, cash on cash return, and gross rent multiplier. And we're going to go into each one of those in a little bit more detail. But why do these matter? They help simplify decisions. They allow you to make apples to apples comparisons on multiple properties if you're trying to decide between a 2 or 3 or 4 properties, which one you might want to invest in, then some of these formulas will help you make that decision. Um, it's going to help you make decisions on whether to keep the property or sell the property, evaluate the performance of the property, and because you're going to know those things, that's going to increase your confidence in that property. So the first formula we're going to talk about is gross income. And gross income is simply the monthly rent times 12. So if your rent is $1,200 a month and times 12 months, that means your gross income is $14,400 a year. So we need to know that number. That's our starting number. That's the number before any expenses whatsoever. It's simply looking at the amount of rent you're going to be collecting. If your property has other revenue generators, perhaps you have uh, pay laundry pay laundry machines or vending machines, or you're charging for parking in addition to the rent, then those things would also be included in your gross income. All right, our next formula is our net operating income. This is where we're going to start taking some of the expenses out. Not all of the expenses. You'll notice on here that it does not include your mortgage payments. All right, so that would be computed in another place. So this is just looking at what the property is earning and what it costs to keep the property running. So in our example, continuing, if we had our $14,400 of net operating income, and this property had $6,000 in expenses, uh, our net operating income would be $8,000. So this is kind of the backbone. You really need to know what your net operating income is for each year, so you can evaluate the performance of that property. All right, cap rate or capitalization rate. This is telling you how much your money is earning for you. The formula is your net operating income divided by the purchase price. Again, this does not include what you're paying for your mortgage, but it does include all those operating expenses that deduct from your net operating income. The higher the cap rate is the higher the return. It's also higher risk. And the opposite is also true. The lower the cap rate, the lower the return, and the lower the risk. So in our example, our net operating income for this property was $14,400. Let's assume that we paid $150,000 for the property, and that gives us a cap rate of 9.6%. So that's considered pretty good. 6 to 8% is considered good, but it really is going to depend on your market. So some markets, an 8% cap rate may be horrible. If a lot of other properties are performing at 10 or 12%, then 8's bad. You could be in a market where the average cap rate is 3 or 4%, in which case 6% cap rate is pretty good for that market. You may decide not to invest there. What's very useful, where this formula is very useful, is if you're trying to, let's say you have 3 or 4 properties you're considering purchasing, and you're not sure which one to buy, which one's going to, give you the best return on your investment. You can do this cap rate analysis very quickly and get an idea of how those are going to perform. So the expensive property with the high rent may not be as good a deal as the cheaper property with the lower rent. You can also use this formula to evaluate whether you even want to invest in real estate. So there's no such thing as a no risk investment. But if there was a no risk investment, it would probably be the 10-year treasury bill or the 20-year treasury bill. So you can look at the rate of return on the 10-year T-bill or the 20-year T-bill and compare that to your cap rate, and you can kind of see how risky this investment is in relation to the lowest risk investment, generally considered to be the lowest risk investment out there. All right, the next formula is cash on cash return. This is telling you how much money your money's earning for you, and you're going to look at your pre-tax cash flow, which we computed there in that first slide, right, and divide that by the cash that is invested. So if your cash flow is $6,500 and you invested $665,000, you're getting a 10% return on that money. Again, that's showing you how hard your money's working for you. The fifth formula is the gross rent multiplier. This one's really not used as much. This is used more in large commercial or multifamily properties, not as much in single family residential, but it gives you another tool to make very quick comparisons between properties. Should I look at the $1 million property, the $800,000 property, the $2.5 million property? Which one is going to be worth spending more time to investigate? So the formula is simply the purchase price divided by the gross annual rent. And the lower the GRM, the better the investment is compared to the other investments that you're looking at. And again, this one, like I said, is very quick. It doesn't factor in any expenses. So this doesn't look at management fees, utilities, maintenance. None of that is considered in this formula. Right, so that's our 5 key formulas for property investing. Our gross income, that's where we start. We got to know how much money's coming in, and then we got to know how much money we get to keep after we pay for the expenses. Our capitalization rate, what that would be the return on the investment if we purchase the property 100% for cash, right? So it's not considering mortgage. Our cash on cash return is what that money's earning for you. And our gross rent multiplier is a quick screening tool that we can use to decide if we want to spend more time investigating a property. So hopefully you've enjoyed this and gotten some good information from it. Please click like and subscribe. You can see all our other videos in our library on YouTube.